Welcome to another exciting new academic year. My name is Steven Stepanek. I am a professor of computer science and I'm the current faculty president. It's my honor today to introduce President Jolene Koester, who will be giving her 11th annual Convocation address. Jolene?
Well, let's begin by congratulating Steve on taking on the responsibilities, taking on the responsibilities of leading the faculty at Cal State Northridge. Give him a big round of applause. Up here as well with me is Connor Lansdale, who is the new Associated Students President. Connor served as Vice President last year, so he knows the drill, knows that it's hard work, and he too deserves our applause and appreciation for taking on this work. The other person up here needs no introduction. I knew somebody would laugh. Last year, Marlene hooted in the audience. Where are you, Marlene? Let's hear it. Our leader in academic affairs, one of the brightest, most competent provosts any university could ever hope for, Harry Hillenbrand. Let's begin by taking a moment to appreciate again this more comfortable and definitely more cost-effective site. As I mentioned to you last year, this naturally canopied site symbolizes for the Cal State Northridge community our efforts to find ways to both reduce costs and improve quality. I told you last year to pay attention to this site each time you walked past. I'm going to tell you to pay attention to this site each time you walk past again this year. The 2009-10 academic year ended with profound personal sorrow and institutional loss with the death of Vice President Terry Piper. As one of our faculty members said to me when she heard that he had died, "We've lost a good one." But with profound gratitude and appreciation, Dr. William Watkins has taken on the reign of Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students. We're delighted that he has been willing to take on that responsibility because he and Terry forged an exceptionally strong partnership. It was a partnership that focused on student needs, student learning, student success, and we know that William will carry on this very, very important work. Dr. William Watkins, please stand and receive the appreciation of your colleagues. We have others that have been members of the university community but are taking on new responsibilities. I'm going to ask them to stand and stay standing so that you can give them applause as a group. Ben Quillian is now Associate Vice President for Information Technology. He's not here. He's on a well-deserved vacation. Lauren Nile, Lauren is over here somewhere, who's now Director of Equity and Diversity. Chris Olson, who's now Senior Director of Information Services. And we do have some new faculty and staff. Would they please stand as well to receive our recognition? There's a special group of people, of faculty members, that I would like to identify just because of the magnitude of these sets of changes. We have 32 faculty members who are newly tenured or promoted to associate professor and 47 newly promoted to full professor. If any of you are here, would you please stand so people can see you? Last year, we gathered for this convocation with a touch of doom and gloom in the air. Well, honestly, it was more than a touch. It was quite a bit of doom and gloom in the air. We couldn't deny the very real and painful difficulties that were facing our campus community and our students. We were implementing furloughs and grappling with their consequences on our personal and professional lives. The university was figuring out how to respond to and deal with a $41 million budget reduction. Students were facing fee increases while also finding fewer seats in fewer classes. We were implementing policies designed to reduce this campus's enrollment by 3,500 students. I'm not here today to tell you that this is over. You know better. Across the university, divisions are experiencing and grappling with a 5% budget reduction. There still is no state budget in Sacramento. And frankly, I haven't even read or heard any prognostications about when that budget deal might be finished. The economy and the state's finances remain precarious. They're dealing with a $19 billion state budget deficit. I am here to tell you that the fundamentals of financing for public higher education have, I believe, been permanently changed. I'm also here to tell you that Cal State Northridge has actually weathered this part of the storm very well. That's happened because we have planned, because we have been strategic, because we have worked collaboratively. We've thrived in a way through this battering economic climate because of forethought, planning, and teamwork, and with dialogue as our dominant mode of interaction. So today I speak to you with the goal of reaffirming our commitment to tomorrow. Reaffirming our commitment to tomorrow to assure a strong future, California State University Northridge. I'm going to begin by laying out the challenges. I'm then going to turn to what it is we're going to do this year to meet those challenges. And finally, as appropriate, I'm going to celebrate our last year of work here at Cal State Northridge. So let me begin with our quest to assure this university's future by examining some of the changes that are occurring in public higher education. If there's ever been an experience for a university that speaks to the importance of planning, this past year is it. If there's ever a demonstration of the importance of collaborative work that allows a university to continue to improve itself in the face of adversity, our recent experience is it. If there's ever an exemplar for the positive consequences of civility and dialogue, the Cal State Northridge community is that exemplar. The typical response of a university during the kind of economic recession that we have been experiencing is to hunker down. We chose to do things differently here. We prepared for this storm. We made strategic and structural changes that allowed us to not only weather the storm, but in fact be better prepared for our future. We entered this rough economic sea with a plan. 5 priorities accompanied by fiscal restraint that made us more efficient and yielded monetary reserves to provide us time and flexibility to respond to these budget reductions. We did restructure to be more efficient, but not by making wholesale cuts, but strategically, with an eye to upholding our mission and our values and commitments to our permanent employees. Decisions have been made with laser-like focus on our 5 priorities, and just in case you have forgotten them: academic excellence, student engagement and success, resource enhancement, user-friendly business practices, and campus and community collaboration. Now, as we look forward, we must continue this journey with planning as our mantra. These tumultuous economic times have hastened other challenges for our university. Emerging realities discussed widely by those who speak and write about higher education. And our planning here simply must take into account these emerging realities in order to reaffirm our commitment to tomorrow. Now, some of these challenges that I'm going to talk about, we've talked about before, and we've considered and acted on. Others of them are newly on this landscape. I will also say to you that planning for these challenges doesn't mean that we know what the specific outcomes are going to be. Rather, we need to plan for multiple possible futures that will allow us to adjust to circumstances as they change. That's what's made our planning so effective in the past here at Cal State Northridge. The first challenge I've talked about in the past, I've alluded to already this morning, and that's the changed financing of higher education, particularly public higher education. For the past 2 decades, we have experienced a modest but continuous decline in state funding. Appropriations are reduced during recessions, with some restoration as the economy grows, but never back to the levels that we were at pre-recession. The pattern adds up to an incremental disinvestment of state funds in public higher education. Thus, we've seen a growing dependence on student fees, regular budget cuts, and restrictions on access. We know from our own budget numbers, yes, in fact, you know from your own experience day to day, that the decline in funding of public higher education is real. This is the new reality, and I'm here to tell you, to say to all of us again, that reversal of that trend is not going to happen. Under this new reality, it's imperative for public higher education to plan and to use our resources strategically. 2 well-known policy analysts, Dennis Jones and Jane Wellman, have recently argued that public higher education is going to be unable to solve its funding challenges simply by looking for new revenues or turning to the federal government or cutting costs. They admonish us that it's not useful to talk about what the budget would have been. That's dreaming. Instead, they urge us to focus on improving degree attainment, investing strategically in areas core to the educational mission, and improving our teaching and learning productivity. What this means for us at Cal State Northridge is that we must simultaneously invest in areas central to our mission while also improving our efficiency. The key for us, I think, is Jones and Wellman's first admonition, that we improve degree attainment. Common words, that we improve the retention of our students and their graduation rates. Now, we've already embraced this goal. We've in fact been working on this for 10 years. I've never given a convocation address at Cal State Northridge without talking about this. I know that for a fact because I went back and reviewed them earlier in the week. But we still have an enormous amount of work to do here to improve retention and graduation rates. A second linked challenge for public higher education is the imperative to educate more students, but with less state funding. Virtually every study about future workforce needs documents an increasing demand for college-educated workers and citizens. Dan Hurley, who works for ASCU, our higher ed association, argues that if public higher education is to meet this challenge, it must develop an orientation directed toward understanding students. Because with that understanding, we can improve teaching and student learning. Again, for us at Cal State Northridge, we have worked over the last 6 to 7 years at becoming a more learning-centered university. This is not new to us. Our Institutional Studies Office does incredible work helping us understand our students. But we must enhance and sharpen that laser-like focus on understanding the student experience. Our third planning challenge, again, I have talked about and we refer to as accountability. These words aren't new, but I would like you to pay attention. When the U.S. Secretary of Education speaks repeatedly of the low graduation rates of public universities, we must pay attention. When the U.S. Undersecretary of Education argues for the need to marry college and work, we must pay attention. When the chair of the National Governors Association says that he's going to make educational productivity the focus of his term, and calls for common performance measurements and concrete steps to increase college completion rates within available resources, I would say we must pay attention. Compounding those challenges is a fourth planning challenge, which is described as change amidst ever-escalating advances in technology. Where higher education was traditionally about the transmission of knowledge through instruction, today, technology enables student discovery as part of the learning equation. Where technology previously was instantiated through its ownership, today it is instantiated through access. Where technology was once primarily here on the campus, today it is now increasingly above the cloud. You've all heard of the cloud, or away from the campus. Where technology was once thought to be a utility, like electricity and water and sewer, today technology can be and will be, for some universities, a strategic advantage. This brings me to a fifth planning challenge. Alternative models of higher education have emerged, and students are increasingly choosing them. Some of these students are smitten with the perceived cost savings of education delivered via the internet, but many of them go beyond these money and convenience factors in making these choices. We're on the cusp of a major shift in student demographics, not demographics like we usually think of them, but soon our incoming university class, perhaps those students that you see walking around here this morning, will be cohorts of digital students who, unless universities change, will struggle to find engagement in analog schools. They will likely demand education that embraces knowledge as something that is continuously created, not simply acquired and forever possessed. We're going to be pressed to commit to a new model of collaborative learning with our students. We already see these demands, and we're going to need to embrace adaptations that truly contribute to our students' success. Additionally, student expectations are changing as for-profit universities offer and extensively advertise flexibility and convenience to match the realities of people's lives. Degree options, more immediately relevant or seemingly more immediately relevant to work and career, resonate with students. Convenience of location and timing is achieved through technology and by stripping back to physical basics, eliminating, not having, co-curricular activities, athletics, libraries even, residence halls, and other features of the way in which we define and see what is now seen as a traditional campus. In many ways, this new model of higher education threatens the very definition of what we think of as a college or university, and I'm here to tell you many students are choosing that model of higher education. So how is Cal State Northridge going to respond to these multiple challenges and changing world? I see us as very well positioned to continue to respond and build on the planning that we have done. But additional planning, additional work is absolutely necessary to move us forward through this storm. We've got to chart a course, build a plan that uses and builds on our strengths and sets an agenda for us for how we're going to respond and help this institution respond to this rapidly and inexorably changing world. Now, we've been very mindful and intentional here in adjusting to the new challenges. But we must, to reaffirm our commitment to tomorrow, become relentless in planning for them. I'm here to say we have to set aside our hope that there's going to be another gold rush, that gold rush is going to preserve our sense of entitlement to state dollars. We need to see the facts as they are. We need to imagine practical alternatives without fixating on scapegoats. We must accept that we have to conserve our resources. And finally, we must neither wait for others to rescue us, nor be surprised when our best ideas are frustrated, because I am confident that in time, our efforts here are going to prevail. Pretty sobering picture. Certainly not a panacea, a utopia. It is one with challenges. But it is also one that we are going to turn to this year with work and planning that is going to allow us to respond and to reaffirm our commitment to tomorrow. First and most importantly this year, we're going to continue to plan and implement our ongoing work to improve student success. That is the first thing I am identifying. It is first because it is absolutely the most critical planning and work that this campus community can engage in. Resting on the laurels of our progress to date will not be sufficient. I love to hear the laurels, I can assure you. But let us not be deluded in thinking we have accomplished this goal. Funding and the very future of higher education, the very future of public higher education, is going to be linked by policymakers and our various public to this metric of institutional success. We also must continue the work of restructuring basic administrative processes. We need to save money. We need to be more efficient. The budget cuts are not going away. We're going to, over the next year as well, engage in a collaborative planning process that's going to create a campus digital master plan that we're going to call IT Vision at 2015. Much as our very important campus master plan has established a blueprint for the future of our physical campus, this digital master plan will establish a 5-year plan for information technology. We're not going to be cheeky enough to think that we can plan beyond 5 years in information technology. That's the outside. In January, we're going to officially open the Valley Performing Arts Center. This complex is part of our plan to establish greater recognition for the university and the community, but it's also part of our plan to provide state-of-the-art instructional facilities for our faculty, staff, and students. There's a 1,700-seat hall which receives most of the public and media attention. But there's also critical academic space in this facility. It's going to house the theater department. You're all going to be jealous of their new home. KCSN, lecture, lab, practice, and faculty office spaces. It's now time for this campus community to thank a few people who have turned over their professional and personal lives to this construction and preparing this facility for opening. I'm going to ask these folks to stand up, and then when they're all standing, I'd like you to give them a very rowdy round of applause. Associate Vice President for Facilities Planning, Colin Donahue, has worked on this facility from the very beginning. Colin is standing back there. Colin, you got to move forward so they can see you. Move forward, Colin. You're not following my instructions. Working with him is Ken Rosenthal, Construction Service Manager, and he may be over in the building site, or is he here? All right, he's there on the site. 2 people have taken on extensive work in preparing the program and making sure that this facility operates fully and effectively. Dean Bob Bucher and Assistant Provost Jerry Leaders, Jerry's on vacation, have taken on the roles of Executive and Associate Director. Where are you, Bob? Please stand. Give them a round of applause. There are also a lot of other people sitting in this audience, and I'd like you to stand, who have taken on the work of making California State University Northridge proud when the Valley Performing Arts Center opens. Please stand, all the rest of you who have been working. Yes, yes. Barbara, Rick, I mean, there's a lot of people here. Come on, the team, the people in the dean's office. We've got a lot of people who are shy here, but let me tell you, this is an all-university effort. We're also this year going to make other improvements in our physical campus. I don't know if you can see the construction crane back over there, but work goes on this year to build a student recreation center that's going to meet LEED's gold standards. It's really going to be quite a wonderful addition to our campus. We also this year are committed to developing a unified communication platform for the university, one that more fully and clearly articulates our uniqueness and distinctions. We know we're good, But it's now time to unify our message and communicate internally and externally about what makes us so special and so excellent. Following the very affirming capacity and preparatory review, we now enter the third, and yes, thank you, final phase of the WASC reaccreditation process. This is called the Educational Effectiveness Review. This year we're going to prepare a report. That report goes into WASC in June, and in September of 2011 we will have a visit from a site team. As we examine data and evidence around our effectiveness, we will continue to focus on student learning and engagement. And if I could link the word accountability with WASC and our efforts there, I think you understand the critical nature of that work. Our effort to achieve reaccreditation has been a model of collaborative, community-wide planning, consistent with our university plan. Last year, we commissioned a study of ways to reduce our environmental footprint. This year, we're going to vet its findings and recommendations and develop a sustainable energy and facilities management plan. Given all of the challenges to higher education, the state and national economic circumstances, and the sharp divides within our society among social concerns, faculty members here at Cal State Northridge have organized a year-long campus-wide initiative on civil discourse and social change. We're honored and pleased to have with us this year Reverend James Lawson, a prominent civil rights leader and close associate of Martin Luther King. He's going to give a series of public lectures and a series of public activities to help us as members of this community and the larger community create real dialogue across the divides. We're also going to try to manage our enrollment. My script says we're going to manage our enrollment, but I can't say it. When allowed to grow, we're going to implement the strategic enrollment plan developed prior to the current budget crisis. For this year, let me just be honest, we have more students than we planned. There's a possibility, ever hopeful, that the state budget, when and if it's ever passed, will include additional enrollment dollars for the CSU. But until a budget is approved with those dollars, we are attempting to respond to student needs here with additional course sections and spaces within our available resources. Now, there's a few parts of the university that have received an enormous impact from this increase in students, this unplanned increase in our students. Let me ask the admissions and records staff to stand, if they can, to receive our appreciation. How about financial aid and cash services? They're close behind. Are you going to stand? No, you're not. Shy groups here. I would also like to thank, there are so many of you in department offices and other service offices across the university who have already seen the impact of this large freshman class, this large transfer class, and the large number of continuing students that we have. My final request, my final description of what it is I hope will happen during this year is that I ask you to please help our students navigate this very difficult environment. They're feeling enormous pressure. They feel economic pressure. They worry about jobs. They worry about what they're going to do and be if and when they graduate from this university. While we might not be able to give them all they want, in fact, I'm sure we won't, It is, I hope, within all of us to respond to them with courtesy and respect, because after all, they are California State University Northridge students. I want to now turn to the past year. Let me start with a really simple sentence. Congratulations on a furloughed year well done. There's something in the Cal State Northridge DNA. A resiliency, a pragmatism, a confidence, frankly, that we can get it done. Through trying times past and present, this campus community knows how to be mindful of resources, knows how to remain focused on mission, and knows how to seek improvements in order to do our work better. Early in the year, we asked you for ideas on how to save money. We've implemented many of those suggestions as well as other cost-saving measures. We now use technology in new ways. We've eliminated a lot of paper, not enough, but we've eliminated a lot of paper. We've eliminated a lot of postage usage. We've transitioned our students to Gmail, which is a more cost-effective email solution for us. We've found ways to exercise environmental responsibility while saving money. PP&M has installed a computerized irrigation control system, which I cannot say in one sentence, which is going to save us about 56 million gallons of water a year. Think environmental responsibility and money. If you've driven around the North Campus, you've seen as well that the university, in partnership with the Boeing Company, has added 33 new high-concentration photovoltaic solar power panels. I can't say these things either. They're big. They're good. They're going to save us electricity. Our mode here has been one of constant mindfulness about how to accomplish work more efficiently while maintaining quality and improving it. Certainly, that work is worthy of our accolades. Clap for yourself. There have been a lot of other singular accomplishments during this year. The university's teacher preparation programs received a glowing NCATE accreditation review that concluded that there were no, count them, no areas for improvement relevant to any Notice It standard. Other programs had similarly outstanding accreditation reviews. The journalism program, construction management. The Ed Trust applauded Cal State Northridge as a top gap closer because we have substantially improved graduation rates and we have closed graduation rate gaps among traditionally underrepresented groups. That's one of those that made me feel good for a moment. All right. Our faculty members, working with students, produced a record number of grant proposals last year, and our numbers of publications and presentations per faculty member exceeded that of our peer institutions. Our McNair, RISE, and RIMI Scholarship and Grants activity establish us as a master's university preeminent in our ability to help our students go on to be in doctoral programs, particularly students who have been traditionally underrepresented. 2 cinema and television arts students received the American Society of Cinematographers Richard Moore Heritage Award, honorable mention, for outstanding achievement in student filmmaking for their senior showcase film, Sounds of Silence. It was a wonderful, incredibly well-done film. Both our Jazz A bands and the Student Jazz Combo were selected from among dozens of top college bands to perform at the prestigious Monterey Jazz Festival. Biology professor Steve Oppenheimer, better known as Julia Child for those of you who've watched his video, was among only 22 people selected nationwide, honored at the White House last fall, and awarded the President's Award for Excellence in Science, Mathematics, and Engineering Mentoring. A 7-member team of our construction management technology students took first place. That was in a nationwide competition with 40 construction management schools being represented. Our men's volleyball team finished their season ranked 3rd in the nation. Our women's track and field, I've got some more athletic ones and then you can clap, how's that? Our women's track and field, men's track and field, softball, and women's water polo team won either their regular season championship title or their conference championship. Now applaud for those student athletes. 3 of our head coaches were accorded Coach of the Year honors. Don Stramitz from men's and women's track and field, he was here earlier. Terry Davila from men's soccer, and Keith West from women's soccer. The U.S. Department of Education awarded Cal State Northridge more than $8.4 million in federal funds to improve the education of teachers who work with students with disabilities. The Matador Bookstore this fall offers over 1,000 titles for rental, over 1/3 of the total number of titles that faculty have asked students to purchase or get for their classes this year. We have newly installed lighting that allows the return of nighttime soccer and expanded hours for kinesiology, recreation, tourism management, and the Northfield outdoor space used as well by associated students. Our first soccer match in the cool of the evening is this Sunday. I hope we'll see lots of you there when we'll officially light the lights for the first time. They've been lit a lot, but we get to do things multiple times. The Student Health Center and Children's Center were also awarded re-accreditation this year. The work of university advancement garnered national recognition by receiving the Bronze Circle of Excellence Award from the Council for the Advancement and Support of Education for the university's 2009 electronic holiday greeting card, The Gift. Did you all see that? And wasn't that deserving of that award? The Staff Services Award and Excellence Recognition event recognized the team who brought us the new Student My Northridge portal, a collaboration from Academic Affairs, Student Affairs, and Information Technology, and also awarded the President's Award for Outstanding Staff Service to Lita Chow of Psychology. At the conclusion of the WASC reaccreditation review last spring, the visiting team commended Cal State Northridge for the following: for vision, transparency and openness, short and long-range planning embedded in the culture, shared knowledge and consultative decision-making, strong commitment to students and their success, a competent and energetic institutional research team, improvements in information technology and student advising, and strong work in assessing learning outcomes. My friends, colleagues here at Cal State Northridge, it doesn't get any better than that. Give yourself all a round of applause. I'm going to close now but I have a few final words that I want to offer to all of us. Words that focus on dialogue and civility. As we look to this year and to the years ahead, I know we are going to have many challenges. I do, however, have great confidence in this university's future. That confidence stems and is built on our already demonstrated capacity to carry out our work, even very difficult work, with civility. The challenges facing public higher education and Cal State Northridge in particular can be met if we proceed in accord with our own institutional commitment to maintaining dialogue with one another. In this community, we've done well in sustaining dialogue through uncertain and difficult times. University leaders, faculty, students, staff, and administrators share a commitment to the highest standards of dialogue. Recent articles in the higher education press describe a perceived decline in collegiality in higher education. If that is indeed the rule, then let us seek to be the exception. I entreat you now, as we continue forward during this time of challenge and change, to work individually and collectively to nurture dialogue so that we can sustain our university community and the life-altering work that we do. I ask all of you in this academic year of 2010 and 11 to reaffirm yours and our commitment to this university's tomorrow. Thank you so much for being with us.